This is Growth Hacking with Content, Marketing Automation, and Drupal. I'm Shelly Hutchins. I'm Director of Marketing at Media Current. I've been there since March. I've been in marketing in general for about 12 years, doing what I'm going to talk to you about today for my clients or myself. We're Media Current. We help organizations build highly impactful, elegantly designed Drupal websites that achieve the strategic results you need. We like to take a project from digital strategy through design all the way to development. We do training and support as well, so we consider ourselves a strategic Drupal agency. And here are some of our recent clients. A lot of them we've done some strategy work for as well. Several of these are local. We recently did a redesign for Travelport and also helped Manhattan Associates migrate to Drupal 8 earlier this year. And before I get going, we do put our money where our mouth is when it comes to marketing automation in Drupal. We maintain several of the Drupal modules for marketing automation, including Pardot, HubSpot, Eloqua, Silverpop, Evergage. We are also certified. Several of us are Google Analytics certified. Our entire marketing team is inbound certified, and we're also Google Tag Manager certified. We wrote the first marketing automation in Drupal ebook, and we're featured in Marketing Automation for Dummies. And one of our crowning jewels is the last year's Salesforce award that we won for Best SMB. 129% increase in conversions, 40% increase in email subscribers. So this is a real focus for us in general, and I have a passion for it as well. So, what is growth hacking? Growth hacking is where software, automation, analytics, and content meet. A lot of startups use this. We're using creativity, analytical thinking, and metrics to sell products or gain exposure, build your customer base. Atlanta has become quite a hotbed for startups. We've got the ATV here, and it's become an incubator for companies like SalesLoft, who's taken a lot of these strategies and really grown exponentially as a result of using several of the hacks I'm going to talk about today. So work smart, win cheap, make it easy. A lot of companies have done this in the past, really taking and innovating the status quo. Dropbox is a good example. They went from 100,000 users to 4 million in a 15-month period simply by implementing a referral program. They gave everyone who signed up, who got a referral, 500 additional megs of space. Really simple. It had kind of never been done before, and they were able to make it work for them. Hotmail was getting 3,000 signups a day. They reached 1 million in 6 months. Then they reached 2 million 5 weeks later. Their hack was to put their own link at the bottom of their page that said, get your Hotmail email address now. It's not rocket science, but it's smart, and it had never been done before, and it worked. Twitter had a retention problem in the beginning. People would sign up for Twitter, they would get on their phone, and they would just look at it because there was no interaction, there was nothing to do. So Twitter looked at their analytics and found 5 to 10 followers made all the difference. So they started recommended followers, and that's what grew their business almost instantly, and took Twitter from this platform that people didn't know how to interact with and made it what it is now. They could monetize. So what do you need? You need your website. You also need a team. So we're talking about tactics for aggressive growth. A critical piece is making sure you have all the right people looking at all the right things at the same time. If you don't put that team in place, what happens is you start to implement content, you start to look at your analytics, you start to grow your customer base, and then you have to focus there. You can't focus anymore on that aggressive growth. So you've got to have the right team in place to look at the content, to make sure that it's being created, to analyze the data, to implement the marketing automation system. If you don't use all those pieces, then you get stalled pretty early in the process. You need tools. You need to define your user base, who it is you're targeting, your buyer personas. That's really important to define who it is you want to come to your site, to be your follower, to buy your product. If you don't define that, you're just guessing. You're saying, well, based on what I've developed, this is what I think we need. But if you don't define those buyer personas from the very beginning, you're guessing. You need your marketing automation software. Marketing automation software and your CRM. Marketing automation, more a marketing function. CRM, more a sales function. These two pieces go hand in hand though. The idea of both is that you want to gather as much information as you can about the people that you're interacting with, and you want to store it and act on it. If you don't have both of those systems and you're not integrating them properly, you're doing a lot of manual work. Marketing automation helps automate a lot of those tasks and workflows. It's really behavior focused, so you can pivot and make decisions and create actions based on those interactions that your customers have with your page. We believe that a module is a great way to do that, which is why we maintain so many of the Drupal modules. And it helps integrate things. I'll touch a little bit on that in a minute. And then you need your goals. I know this sounds pretty simple, but if you don't define your goals, is it conversions? Is it sales? Is it SEO rankings? Whatever those goals are, establish 3-4 goals and treat them as beacons. And everything that you do, every decision that you make is, am I reaching this goal? Am I not reaching this goal? Quick decisions, look at your analytics, look at the content you're producing. Is it pushing me towards my higher rankings? Yes, do more. No, do less. So on to the hacks. The first hack, feed the content monster. Marketing jargon all over, everything you read, content is king, but it's marketing jargon for a reason. So you need content on your website, that's no secret, but what a lot of people don't realize is you have to continuously produce lots of relevant content to your personas. We're talking about big growth, right? So big growth, lots of content. You need the team to make it happen, but there are also some principles in order to make sure that you're producing the best content possible. So I like to call it the SSS principle: smart, shareable, SEO friendly. Smart, what do your customers want to know that they don't already know? I am a Disney fan. I can't tell you how many blog posts I've read about how to plan a Disney vacation. They all say the same thing: extra magic hours, don't burn out, plan some downtime, book your dining in advance. But if I read a blog post that says, hey, if you book at this restaurant at this time, your family can sit and watch fireworks with no interruptions, that's actionable. If they tell me, you know what, a lot of times if you call at the last minute, people have canceled their reservation and you can get into that restaurant that you couldn't get into before, that's information that I didn't have. That's going to keep me coming back to that site. Again, how do you know what your customers want? Define your buyer personas. If you don't have buyer personas, let's talk. You want your content to be shareable. So as marketers, we want things to go viral. Doesn't always happen. We're not Jimmy Kimmel. Don't want to be. But if you produce thoughtful content, you're heading in the right direction. This is really, this is really what you want. You want something that tells your audience to take another action, to share it, to interact with it, to go to another piece of content on your site. This is what you're looking for. The last one is SEO friendly. Now, Google's algorithm is smart. We all know that. And it used to be really easy to outsmart. You could write a post, stuff it with keywords, and you would rank at the top. The reason they change their algorithm so often is because they're aiming to produce the best answer to the question that the searcher is looking for. So there are a lot of ways that you can do that, but don't think about stuffing it with the right words. Think about producing the right content, and all of that comes naturally. That said, there are some Drupal tools that make life easier when it comes to SEO. A lot of these are probably already installed on your site, so Global Redirect, Meta Tag, Google Analytics. I do love Meta Tag, not just because someone from Media Current maintains the module, but it really is a good way to make sure that metadata is where it should be. Marketing automation modules, again, helps integrate things in exactly the way that you want them to. And Drupal 8. As a marketer, I'm really excited about Drupal 8 because there are features that make life easier. The responsive design, pretty much out of the box, Mobilegeddon we just talked about, and it really, the ease of, anyway, I like Drupal 8 for SEO. We have a blog post about it too. Please check it out. So a bonus hack. I have a couple of these in here. I just told you to produce lots of content, right? But if you don't get a system for categorizing that content, we're going to have lots of trouble really fast because you're going to have 10 blog posts on almost the same thing hanging out there. No one knows what the other one's doing. So we use a really simple naming convention: content type and title. Seems pretty intuitive, but I've seen large companies that don't have a system, and then you're in trouble really quickly. Hack number 2. Big Brother is watching, and you should be too. Use your marketing automation software to do that. So you've written this really great content. You've made it SEO friendly so the right people can find you. You want people to read it. Again, you want the right people to read it. We're talking about lots of the right people for big growth. How do you know you've gotten the right person to your site? You want to be a little bit like Big Brother and know as much as you can about your prospects. Always be watching what they're doing, what interactions they're taking with your content to make sure that you've got the right things out there. Now, being like Big Brother sounds a little creepy. As a person in the universe, it can be that way. As a marketer, it's pretty cool that I have that much insight into who my customers are. So I have an almost 6-year-old. You saw her earlier. She was the happy one, not the screaming one. And she was about 4 years old. She was sitting in our living room, not even looking at the television, playing with something else, and the TV came on and it said, SC Johnson, and without moving, she said, a family company. And I thought, as a mother, it's a little scary that she's brainwashed so early, but as a marketer, it's pretty darn cool that she knows exactly what's happening, right? They've gotten to her. That was their goal, and they did it. So what is marketing automation? So I said this was a beginner session. Start at the beginning. It's a software or system that you purchase, you integrate with your Drupal website, helps with lead, email collection, email marketing, content storing, and content personalization. So how does it work? You build out campaigns based on the criteria for the lists that you have segmented. You want to segment your lists. You want to understand who's who and what content that they want. And you create automation rules, and from time to time, you drip information to them. That's give them pieces of information slowly in order to get them to interact with you. Because until you collect someone's information, the reality is they're just an IP address on your website. They're just a nameless, faceless person who's come to your website. One of the cool things about marketing automation, and I'll show this in practice in a minute, is you've got this visitor, you've got this IP address. When you do entice them to come to your site and give you their information, boom. Marketing automation software is smart enough to take the information from Google Analytics and your Drupal website and the form that they filled out, piece it all together, and then you have that history of every person that's come to your site. So then you can take those previous actions and pivot on those as well and make decisions about what content they get next. So I mentioned I love Disney. Let's say I have a Disney travel planning blog. I want to turn it into a business. I know based on comments that when people search best Disney tips, I come up. So the first thing I want to do is put a really basic form out there that collects the information, right? Sign up for my newsletter. Sign up for my email updates. From there, I'm going to send weekly updates with the latest content and encourage them to share with their friends. Perhaps I say, okay, you get 30 minutes for me to review your travel plans if you get someone to sign up to receive updates as well. So then I'm building my database as I go. And I'm going to ask more information. So I'm going to gate some of my content that's put it behind a marketing automation form. And I'm going to ask them things like, do you have kids? Are you married? What are your interests? Right? And I'm going to segment my list based on that information. So the people that are married with no kids go on one list. The people that have only female children, only girls, go on a different list. From there, I'm going to put them on a campaign like this. I'm going to drip them information. Different information. So maybe the family married with no kids gets information about the latest 5-star restaurant. Maybe the people with only girls gets information about how they can meet and greet with princesses. But over time, I give them the information that's tailored to them. They start to see my value, and then I debut my consulting services. I've got a customer base already built. Simple example, that's how it can work. So why do you need a marketing automation module to do this? I'm a marketer, but not a hardcore coder. So could data collection be captured without a marketing automation module? Sure, but as a marketer, I don't want that information to live just in Drupal. I need the data to be updated in real time. I need to have access to it. I need to be able to make decisions based on it, not just in one place, but with all my different systems working together. So my Google Analytics, plus what actions, plus the things they take. I need it all tied together. If it was a homegrown or custom site, it would take a lot of effort to integrate with my marketing automation system. But with Drupal and the marketing automation modules, you have such a greater ability for speed. And we're talking about aggressive growth. We're talking about quick decisions. So in a lot of ways, using marketing automation, using Drupal, using that module to integrate them is really kind of a bonus hack because you're well on your way versus a homegrown site that would make it a much bigger challenge. So this is an example of how the system all works together. So there are a lot of different ways that someone can come into our system. That's what we call a conversion. They can come in via email, social media, SEO, searching us, web visits, events. At that point, their profile is created. We nurture them with that sample campaign I showed you before, and they lead score along the way. So lead scoring is making decisions and saying, okay, these are the events that are most valuable to me. These are the ones I want to make decisions on. People get scored based on this. All the systems come with a standard scoring that you can modify as you see fit. But think of that 100-point score as someone raising their hand. So you make decisions on things that are important to you, and when people have done enough of those and they score the right score, essentially they're raising their hand. And in my case, at that point it goes to sales. Sales follows up, and then ideally the sales process begins. This could also be an engagement system. Say if people take 5 steps and you've got a community side, at that point you reach out to them to be maybe an administrator or a moderator because they're a higher interacting person. This in a nutshell is how the system works, ideally start to finish. So you want to create systems, hyper-targeted conversion paths for those personas that we talked about to make sure that you get people from point A to point B, from a stranger on your site, into one of those nurture campaigns as quickly as possible. This is a very simplified version of a conversion path. You want to make sure that no page is ever a dead end. So someone comes to the site, searches for a topic, they hit a blog post that gives them some information on that topic. There's a call to action. If that call to action takes them to a landing page with a bigger piece of relevant content to them. That's where you've got your form, that's where you gate your content, put it behind a form so that you can collect information. They download that content, and at that point they're put on the nurture campaign. So like I talked about, the nurture campaign for families with no kids versus families with girls, that's how you get them on the right campaign path. So one word of caution, you're collecting information about your people. If you're anything like me and most people, I don't want to give you 50 pieces of information all at once. If you give me a form like this that asks everything you ever wanted to know about me, my firstborn child, the street I grew up on, no, I'm gone. I'll find the information somewhere else online. So again, your marketing automation system can help with this. It's called progressive profiling. Most marketing automation systems have this feature, and it's a very beneficial feature. This is how we use it at Media Current. So the first part, you can see we're asking the general information with a couple of questions. The next time the form gets shorter, but we're gaining a new piece of information. And then at the end, we're collecting maybe one more piece, but we're really giving you the opportunity to understand that we're making your life easier. And the bonus hack here, you can see back here, we pre-populate our form fields. Again, the bonus hacks, they sound really simple, but they go a long way. Our attention spans are this big if we're busy, and by pre-populating that form, you make sure that you take every opportunity to get more information from your contact, right? Then you don't lose anything because of laziness or speed or anything like that. So the final hack, the wheel never stops turning. So on Price is Right, you get one spin. With your digital strategy, those wheels never stop turning. You want to take everything that you learn and constantly do more of the right things, do less of the wrong things in order to gain big growth, which means you have to constantly be looking at your systems, analyzing what's happening, and making decisions based on that. So how it all comes together, we've got our lead generation, our nurturing, our sales, all the ways that people get into your system. Then you want to nurture them, score them, route them the right way. Ideally, they become a sale. If not, they go back into your funnel and you continue to communicate with them. Because someone doesn't have a need today doesn't mean they don't have a need in the near future or even 2 years from now for what it is that you want to engage with them. Keep those lines of communication open. So now I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit and show you some of the ways I use the system every day. So in my marketing automation software, I can view open rates, click-through rates, conversions. I can see what content is the most popular. I can use Google Analytics to gain insight into what pages are viewed most often, what keywords people are using to find me. We have a great crash course in SEO and Drupal on our website as well. Check it out, slightly shameless plug, but it really is a good way to get you started using Drupal and SEO. I can look at this for the last quarter. I see what content was the most popular. So we have the great Drupal 8 debate ebook. Not surprising, right? It's really topical and timely, but I can see what other pieces of content are interesting to my audience as well, and then I can decide if I need more here, less here, what decisions I need to make about what content to put out. We look at this every day. Now I'm going to show you how we take someone, we take in an actual person from a visitor to our website to a customer. So this is someone that came to our site, right? They visited a lot of pages. They looked at a lot of our case studies, which tells me they're interested in what we do and who we've done it for, what results we've got. That's really great, except for right now they're just a visitor. I don't know anything about them. But I know that one of the case studies they looked at was our recent Drupal 8 project. So at the bottom of that case study, I put a call to action to our Drupal 8 debate ebook. So this is our landing page. This landing page is built and is housed in Drupal. So it's very easy for me to go in and add a new piece of content. That landing page is already there. I go in, I link my form for my marketing automation system. In this case, Pardot. Right here on the page, seamless. It takes me 15 minutes every time I want to do one of these, not an hour, not 2 hours. It's very simple. So now I'm collecting this person's information, and boom. Just like I showed you earlier, now all of their information is tied together. I see what pages they visited before, what emails they're on, and what pages they visited since they gave me their information on our site. So this is the high target piece for us. We want to reach out to these people in a real-time basis. So this ties into our Salesforce marketing, our Salesforce automation, our CRM. So I can tell my marketing automation system now, you've got this person's information. I need you to assign it to one of my reps, and I need you to create a task in Salesforce in my CRM for that person to be contacted. I set that, it automatically happens, and then I go into CRM, and this made me really, really excited. This takes lots of time out of my day now that I have this. So this is a round robin rule, so it's a rule in my CRM system. Again, pivoting from something that happened in my marketing automation system because they're all tied together. And this says, okay, assign it to this person first, then this person second, then this person first, then this person second. That person gets a notification in our CRM to reach out to this person, and no one had to touch anything. No one had to call anybody, no one had to send an extra email, no one had to do anything. We got to program the system properly, and this all happens automatically. So we took that nameless, faceless stranger to a happy, and in this case, maybe a little too happy customer. And guys, that's how it works. Any questions?
So any of those CRMs or marketing automation, does that tie back into a point of sale system so you can actually, see not just who was a sales lead, but did they actually produce revenue?
Did they buy? So in the case of Salesforce, where we use Salesforce, we also use that to track our sales opportunities. So we tie that to our leads and to our the account that it's created with. So that's the way that we do it. In a lot of cases, though, most of those CRM systems will tie into a POS system as well. Any other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned marketing automation tools. Do you have anything specific or some names that you can throw out?
Absolutely. We use Pardot at MediaCurrent. I've used several systems before. I've used Silverpop. I've used Marketo. HubSpot puts out a lot of really great content. They have a good tool as well. Eloqua, a lot of people consider Eloqua the Cadillac of the system because it does a lot of things. It's also one of the more expensive options. But I have used all of those systems, and I do like all of them for different reasons.
The meta tag module has like 10 submodules under it that tag like every little part of the site. Have you guys found a big benefit to adding meta information to every little part of your site?
Definitely. That's why I like the meta tag module so much, because it does so much hands-free. We talked about automation. I'm a fan of anything that I don't have to do manually, and it really does make a big difference in terms of helping your rankings without a lot of extra work.
What is the recommendation about A/B testing to compare two different campaigns or two different strategies?
I definitely recommend A/B testing. The key with A/B testing, though, is not to test too many things at once. So I've seen people try to test colors and headlines and what the messaging is and something in the signature. If you get too many options, you're going to get lost. But I like to test one thing here, one thing here, one thing here. And I also hyper segment my list when I'm going to be A/B testing so that I can test with the same list several different potential options and then piece together the right message on all fronts. You can do that directly in your marketing automation system. You can A/B test. I A/B test through Pardot.
So you mentioned progressive profiling, and so on your Drupal site, if you use one of the marketing automation software, you can download the module, and then that would enable the form. You can enable the form to show up, and then it ties into the marketing automation software, and that's how it does progressive profiling. Or is there anything extra that you'd have to do for that?
That's it. So when you create your form in your marketing automation system, and again, I'll use Pardot because that's the system I'm using now on a daily basis. I can, on my form, make decisions about what fields I want to appear. I can make them dependent on other fields if I want to. So only if they've answered this, then they get this. Or I can use a combination of forms over several different pieces and make them all the same. But once we've gotten this person's information, I can say, okay, don't show that field anymore. All that is programmed in marketing automation, and then you tie the form directly into your Drupal website.
If you have customers that are less internet savvy and on your leads only coming as a phone number, do you have any other strategy? Because it's hard to get the form filled up with the leads that.
Yeah, in some cases, you can make certain fields required or not required. One example for us is that we were not requiring a phone number, and now we do because we want to be able to reach out to people. We don't call everyone; it's not a telemarketer thing, but we want to make sure that we have the option, especially when something really exciting is happening. So you can make fields required or not required. We always require an email address because inbound marketing email is so important to what we do.
Do you have any tips for doing this sort of thing for mobile users? You know, when I'm reading the blog posts from Drupal Planet, like Media Currents, I don't often have the time to my phone screen is only really big, and I'm trying to read the blog post. Are there any tips for collecting information for mobile users?
It's a good question. I think that they're doing a good job of making those as friendly as possible in terms of, again, pre-populating your fields and things like that. But I don't know if there's a good solution for the first time on your mobile device to complete that information other than to take the time to do it manually.
How does the marketing automation place for small business? I mean, for a big company like Media Current, you have different teams, you have so many processes in place. I guess by the time they do big, they have budget and everything.
Yeah.
For a small company, how would that work?
I think there are a lot of solutions there too. Constant Contact is one that kind of gets you started there. MailChimp is another. So those systems can be used, and they're not as expensive as some of the other systems. But a lot of the same principles apply. So it doesn't do everything, but it does enough to get you started and to get you rolling.
Is there a reason you went with Pardot instead of, say, Infusionsoft or Acton or some of the other automation tools?
I've used both of those systems too, and I do like them. I think Salesforce, the fact that we use Salesforce plays a bit into that decision because it all plays really nicely together.
And have you done any of these? I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Question. So, have you used these modules with, like a Drupal commerce type of situation where you're really the customer lives in the commerce environment? You're not really making those hands-on, the personal phone calls. They're not going through a sales process. Mm-hmm. They're completing their own transaction.
I haven't used it a lot that way. I've heard of use cases that way though. We'll talk after this and let me send you a couple because I've heard of some successful use cases in some of the groups that I've been a part of before, but I haven't ever used it personally.
For SEO and social, I guess they are two different things, right? And something that's SEO friendly may not necessarily be social friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you use to kind of like figure out what are the tunings you need to do? Maybe something is SEO friendly now, but not social friendly. How do you make it more social friendly?
I think you have to make decisions about how you present your content, and you can take a big piece of content. Let's say that you've got a big piece, an ebook, let's say, or a white paper that's really large. You think about ways you can parse out that content in order to make it friendly for whatever medium you're using. So even across social platforms, right? Twitter is very different than LinkedIn, is very different than Facebook. So you have to be really conscious of your message and what information you can parse out in order to make it really strong. So you've got an infographic maybe that you create out of the content that you've got in your white paper, and then you create a blog series as well that presents itself there. So you have to get really smart about taking a really good piece of meaty content and breaking it out into, what have I heard it, snackable pieces of content as well, so that you can accommodate on all mediums.
So I guess you were saying that we may have to do different type of fields or content for different platforms or different social outlets, right?
Yes. And some marketing automation systems even provide, you can post on social through there and track that way as well. So you can have it all live in one place. I use several different analytics tools depending on what I'm going for. So I use Hootsuite to post on social and track those things. I use Google Analytics. I use Moz to track my keywords because those are the systems that work for me. But as much as you wanted to put in one system, you really could. All right, thank you.